passion igniting the light through highs and lows. We'll stand as one, a legacy, a tale that's just begun. Together we roar, together we grow. Detroit Lions will rise, with our hearts full of dreams and the fire in our eyes. From the past to the future, we'll claim our road. In the home of the brave, we'll proudly have grown. So let's lift our voices, let's turn it up loud. For the love of the Lions, we'll always be proud.
All right. Good morning. Welcome to the Rise of Grind Morning Show. Again, apologize for being a few minutes late, but it is Friday the 13th, and you know what happens on Friday the 13th. All sorts of things we hope doesn't happen today. But anyway, welcome in this morning. We're going to get to your Lions news, your NFL news. We're going to be talking about the Lions and Bills. We're going to break it down a little bit. Lions are banged up again. One more linebacker has fallen down, and we're going to be talking about Trevor Nowatzki here and what that means for this week. How are the Lions going to move past it if he can't get up for the game? But first, before we get going, do us a few favors. If you wouldn't mind, one, smash the subscribe button if you have not already, and hit that like button if you guys want ads off. If we can reach 60 likes before 8:30, we will get these ads off right away. So let's get to smashing, get to subscribing. We're probably going to have the pop-up at some point today. So you want to turn that notification bell on today so you know when we're going live, because it's going to be a quick one. It's going to be in and out and over, and someone's going to get a mini helmet today signed by Panay Sewell. But before we get going, let's welcome in the co-host this morning, Eric Rentamaki. Good morning, Eric. How are you this morning?
I'm fantastic, and it didn't snow last night, so much better today.
We got it, for you instead. We got tons of snow last night again. So fun stuff. Wish I still skied.
They finally came and plowed my driveway and stuff last night, so my Subaru actually got stuck in the driveway yesterday.
Fun. You're probably really missing your truck right now.
Stab me with another spoon in the gut. Thanks, man.
I didn't mean it that way, but hey, you're probably really missing your truck.
I am. And
did you trade in your Tahoe?
No, my Suburban, I kept it.
Your Suburban, yeah.
Yeah, so I got the Suburban, the Subaru, and now the Ford truck and Detroit Lions truck. And for those that don't know, I hit a deer and it caused like $8,500 worth of damage. Well, the insurance adjuster called yesterday and they found some more things wrong. So they had to order more parts, and they had to have the insurance adjuster come again, take pictures, come up with another list, and do, I think it's called an addendum or whatever. So there's an additional $4,500. So now we're up to $13,000 worth of damage on this truck. And thankfully, I only have to pay for $500 of it, but it's putting it back another 2.5 weeks. It would have been done now, but because of this additional damage, they had to wait for the insurance adjuster, and then they had to order parts, and they didn't know that my badge on the side that says Detroit Lions limited edition number 63 out of 800, they didn't know that was sitting in the dash, and they've been trying to order it and they cannot find it anywhere. They've called every dealership, everywhere, and couldn't figure out a way to get that. So I'm glad I found it. Took me an hour and a half after I hit that deer, but I did find it. It was on the side of the road in some really tall grass, and they were very happy that I found it.
Yeah, so you're the victim of what are called subrogation claims. I used to be an insurance agent back in the day, and anytime that you have major damage to a vehicle, the body shop's always going to find stuff, and you want them to find stuff, because if they don't and you get your car back and it's not driving right, well, then you're kind of stuck with it unless you get it back in quickly, and hopefully you don't have any other major damage. But I told you it was going to take a while, man. These things, yeah. They always find more stuff, and that's their job, so hopefully they're doing a good job for you.
I had a bent tie rod and some other stuff that they didn't know about, and then there was more damage to the doors than they thought. So it was a whole laundry list of brand new parts that need to be ordered for it. So I'd rather it get fixed right, but that just means I won't have my truck until playoff games. That's what that means.
Well, we should have plenty of those, including a Super Bowl, hopefully, that you'll be able to ride that beauty back to Ford Field and be able to enjoy it once again. So hopefully you get your baby back soon, you know?
I was also able to get a hold of my ticket rep, and I actually got my code. So now I can order any playoff game tickets I want.
That's great.
Because they missed me on Monday when they sent it out to everyone else, but I finally figured it out. It was my emails directly from the Detroit Lions were going to a weird folder, and I don't know why.
You must have clicked something.
I did something because they weren't showing up in my normal show me all my emails every day. It was in some weird folder, and it wasn't in my junk folder, so I couldn't find them.
Well, at least you got it, man. At least you're able to get some tickets. So let's get this thing kicked off with a little bit of news around the league. And I think we'll talk about first is there's been a growing trend on game day for high profile athletes, not only Patrick Mahomes, but Travis Kelce and now Joe Burrow. So Joe Burrow's home was broken into while he was obviously playing in a game the other day. And this is something that the NFL has put out a league-wide notice about, letting players know that they need to be extra careful and cautious, not only when returning back home from a game, right, but even while they're at home, that there is some sort of, I don't know if you call it organized crime or whatever, that is targeting obviously rich athletes that are away, during games on the weekends or wherever they're playing, and they're typically gone quite a bit. And they may have, homes in other states that they're not at all the time and nobody's paying attention to. And these homes are getting broken into. And, I wanted to talk about this for a minute because, back when J-Mo had that issue with the whole gun situation, right? I'm wondering if part of J-Mo was thinking, this notice went out and he was going to stay protected no matter what, because you never know. So I wouldn't put it past J-Mo that all of this other stuff that's going on around the NFL and players' homes getting broken into and the league putting out a notice, if that didn't put him on notice. So I'm going to give J-Mo the benefit of the doubt on that one, that, maybe it crossed his mind, maybe it didn't, but at least he paid attention to what's going on and he had something to say. He just said, I think our guy sent out a message to us. Just be safe. It's that time of the year, Williams said. Just be safe and take care of yourself. But just talking about Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow, who was the latest victim in a home break-in. His home was burglarized while his team was playing in Dallas on Monday night. Others across the league have been victims as well, including, like I said, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. So according to the New York Times, the FBI has picked up this case, and they are investigating whether or not burglaries are part of a targeted attack. As the NFL reportedly sent out a memo November 20th, there you can probably match up the timeline, right? I think that was after the J-Mo thing, explaining that these attacks were targeted at professional athletes on game days. And J-Mo had this to say, he said, because some people just don't have respect or things like that for people who do stuff for their city. It's kind of weird. So you've just got to always watch your surroundings and be safe at all times. Crazy stuff happens. We've seen multiple players this season get targeted, right? Whether it was just a random attack. Who was the latest victim of a gunshot? Oh my goodness.
Josh Reynolds.
Josh Reynolds, yeah. But then before that, who was the other one?
Ricky Pearsall.
Ricky Pearsall, right. And that was just a random guy trying to steal his watch.
Yeah, he walked out of a store and the guy tried to steal his watch right in downtown San Francisco.
It's craziness.
Shot him.
Brazen. I mean, so yeah, these guys, they have a lot of cash, right? So in a digital world, not a whole lot of people keep cash on them, but they wear, fancy jewelry and things of that nature. As a matter of fact, I forget who it is. It's one of the athletes that wears fake jewelry. He will not buy anything real. And he does that because I think it was Justin Fields. He does that because he doesn't want to spend the money. He thinks it's foolish to spend that kind of money on jewelry. But now put it into this context. If you're targeted and you've got all this big flashy stuff on, these guys ain't going to know if it's real or not. Go ahead here. I'll just take it, have it. It's yours. Walk away. Then they're going to get back and they're going to realize, oh man, I got a $20 chain. They should wear some fake stuff when they're out and about, man. There's nothing wrong with it. But I think that speaks more volumes to being financially smart, in Justin Fields' sense, that he just doesn't want to waste that kind of money on things like that are senseless. And obviously can take your life because people want it. They want your stuff. And it's a crazy world we live in. But that's your quick news there for Joe Burrow and what's going on around the league. Any comments from you on this whole situation, Eric?
Yeah. Put yourself in their shoes for 1 minute. Imagine all you're doing is trying to go home for the evening after putting in a hard day's work, and you have to worry whether someone is broken into your home or not, or whether someone is going to be there ready to ambush you and take your stuff or kidnap you or your family. Or what about worrying about my family being in my home while I am gone off on a work trip?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because that's why Dan Campbell moved. He was worried about his family being home alone while he was gone. And if I'm one of these high profile athletes, I'm hiring a security guard or a security firm to watch my house when I am not there.
You would think that they would all have security alarms and things of that nature, but not that that's really going to stop anybody, because
no,
you can have those things turned off. You can cut the wires, but it would still send a signal. Once you have a dead battery. I used to do security analyst, and once that battery goes dead, it still has another backup battery. Or I'm sorry, once the signal goes dead, it still has a backup battery to send out an alert anyway. So if you don't know what you're dealing with and you've got the right system, they're going to get notified anyway. And at some point within 3 to 6 minutes, the cops are going to be showing up. So I don't know how these guys are getting into these homes that you would think are locked down like Fort Knox, or in gated communities. And they're still getting in.
At my house, between my 3 buildings, I probably have 10, 15 cameras. I'm going to catch you because mine doesn't go to a thing in the house. Mine goes to the cloud. So right. You're not stealing my video feed. You know what I mean? If you take my cameras, it doesn't matter.
Well, you'll be able to watch them right from your phone as soon as they enter your property.
Exactly.
And you know what? Take all my stuff. Who cares? It's all replaceable.
My cameras have GPS in them. So if someone takes my camera, I can track my camera.
Yeah, we dealt with that this last couple of summers for a family member that had property that houses broken into more than a dozen times, and all sorts of and I put up cameras, I put up trail cams, and they were finding the things and taking them, but they have GPS in them. They can be located. So yeah, it's crazy what people do today, man. It's, go get your own shit. Sorry. Just go get your own stuff.
I made sure like at least one of my cameras on every building is up high enough that you would have to literally have a very large ladder to get up on just to reach the camera. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's not, you can't just walk up and unscrew it and take it with you.
Yep, we put them everywhere, man. Up in the trees, you name it. And they always found a way to get to them one way or the other. I don't get it. Honestly, I think that there was a local municipality that was probably involved in some of this stuff too, but I'll remain them nameless. Let's get into Bill Belichick for a moment. So he left the NFL, as we spoke about yesterday. But a little bit more information came out about this whole Belichick leaving to the college ranks. And I found it interesting that this is more of an FU to the NFL, that Bill Belichick is disgusted with the NFL. According to reports, what he is saying is that he's just sick of where the NFL is headed. He doesn't want to see what's going on. He wants it to be more transactional. His relationship with the players, he wants it to be more transactional and not personal. Which I get that from Bill, like, when he goes through his post, conferences or whatever after the game, post game conferences, he's always standoffish. I felt that like Bill Belichick, seeing him on other media outlets now after he's not a coach, he seemed to be a little bit more personal, a little bit more open, right? Kind of maybe a little bit the cool Bill. But when he's in coach mode, he wants nothing to do with anybody. But I guess I get it. He wants it to be more transactional. He wants it to be less personal. He doesn't want any of these relationships and stuff like that. He doesn't want what the NFL's doing right now. And so this is more so of him just kind of saying, F you to the NFL. I'm out. I'm not going to wait through another hiring cycle. See ya. I found that very, very weird, right? But interesting. It's Bill Belichick. I mean, what else does he have to prove in the NFL? I mean, hasn't he done it all already? What else does he really have to prove? And I think the NFL without Bill Belichick, honestly, is going to hurt a little bit to the NFL. I mean, he is the best coach of all time. He's won the most Super Bowls of all time. And I think this is going to hurt the NFL more than it's going to help, at least for the next couple of seasons, that you're not going to have Bill Belichick on the sideline of an NFL team. Maybe a team that could have utilized, Bill's ability to reformat, reshape. And we're going to see that with UNC. This is going to be fun. Even some of the Lions coordinators are having fun with this because you've got Ben Johnson, who's a UNC grad, right? And you've got NC State, which is Lee McNeil, and others. So there's some of these, and even Duke in the house in Allen Park. So you've got all of these intrastate rivalries going on, and it's been kind of fun for them to kind of talk about the over-under that Ben Johnson was talking about. How many games is UNC going to win? It's no longer going to be a basketball program. It's going to become a football program. And I thought that was kind of funny. So we'll see where it goes. Any comments from you on this one?
Yeah. Bill Belichick, amazing coach, won all these Super Bowls, had Tom Brady and all these old school players, kind of like Teddy Bruschi that doesn't like Dan Campbell, and all these guys that wanted it the military style, old school way, right? So it amazes me that Bill wants to go deal with younger people, because I think that was Bill's problem in the NFL. He didn't know how to deal with this newer
younger generation.
Yeah, the younger generation. He didn't know how to deal with their attitudes and their lack of wanting to put in work. And, you have to talk to them different. Like Dan Campbell gets them. Dan Campbell gets all these young guys. I wouldn't put you through it if I didn't think I would do it myself, and that's how he gets it out of his young guys, where I think Bill Belichick just said, hey, go do this. And they didn't want to do it for him anymore. And he lost connection with the younger people. And now he's going to go coach younger people.
Yeah, kind of weird.
It's very, very puzzling to me that college would even want him for one. And then that he would want to do it too. So very, very unique situation there.
Yeah, I'm wondering how he's able to deal with his girlfriend. Isn't she like 22 years old?
24.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, he's a senior.
Jeez, oh, Pete.
He's 72 and she's 20.
I'll leave that one alone.
Yeah.
I'll leave that one alone. But yeah, good for you, Bill. Go have fun at UNC, man. He's going to find himself in trouble there. All right, next up, you had some interesting developments last night in the 49ers game versus the Rams. What the hell happened?
So last night's barn burner of a game between the Rams and the 49ers.
I don't even think they scored a touchdown, did they?
Yeah, Matt Stafford was 0 for 5 on third down attempts in the first half. There were 0 touchdowns scored in the entire game. There was a total of 6 field goals in this game. It was a wet, sloppy mess. People were falling all over the place. It was a hard-fought game. It was a divisional battle between two teams that are fighting for their playoff lives. Before the game, the San Francisco 49ers had a 4% chance to make the playoffs. Now they have a 1% chance. They're not completely eliminated, but if they lose this week, they are eliminated from playoff contention. Well, yesterday, Greenlaw, who hurt himself in the Super Bowl, jumping up and down, ruptured his Achilles, I believe. He came back to play yesterday for his first game back in the NFL. Well, because he came back and played, someone had to sit on the bench. And that someone is Devondre Campbell. And in the third quarter, Greenlaw needed to come out of the game. So the coaches said, all right, Devondre Campbell, it's your turn. It's your time to shine in a close game that they were only down by 3 points. He said, no. And he walked to the locker room and left his teammates on the field and left before anyone got to the locker room. He quit on his team. If he is not released by today, I would be very surprised.
So this was kind of, very odd. Was, he started all season. So I guess I get it. His feelings were hurt. He doesn't get the opportunity to play in a big game on Monday night. I probably wouldn't agree that that's the right call. The guy that has been playing all season for you, you start him, and then you put in Greenlaw. I think that's a huge slap in the face to Devondre Campbell, and I can understand what he's thinking here. Like I just gave you guys everything all season, been playing pretty well this season. And this guy just comes back after an Achilles injury, and you're going to go ahead and start him over me? So I'm wondering if this came down to a game day, notice to him that, hey, you're not going to play today, or you're going to be coming off the bench. He's probably pissed about it all day. So according to Shanahan, he said, Campbell, he was seen walking off the 49ers sideline during the game, and then Shanahan was asked about it, and what Campbell's choice was. He said he didn't want to play today. He did when I asked him why he didn't want to go in. That was in the third quarter. So in the third quarter, he was asked to go in. He said no. And then Shanahan was asked if that's ever happened to him before, and he said no. Now, like I said, Campbell has been starting all season for the 49ers, but he was not in the starting lineup for Thursday night because of Dre Greenlaw and his comeback from his Achilles injury. Shanahan also said that he was going to go in when Dre came out. Didn't happen. Shanahan didn't answer definitively when asked if the 49ers will cut Campbell, but this is what he said, so I think it's all but done. He said, we'll figure out something, but I don't know that right now. When someone says that, you move on. You don't deal with that anymore. If somebody doesn't want to play football, it's pretty simple. I think our team and myself, you know how we feel about that. So I don't think we need to talk about him anymore. So I would expect that Campbell's probably going to get his pink slip today. And no, I'm sure that there's going to be some channels out there that are going to start pumping Greenlaw to the Lions or Campbell to the Lions. It ain't going to happen. I can tell you right now, this guy does not fit anything, Detroit Lions. When you bail on your team, if Dan Campbell were to bring that type of a player into this culture and identity, into Allen Park, what message would he be sending? It'd be the wrong message. It'd be saying, you can do whatever you want when you want. You're above the team. That is not the Dan Campbell way. This guy is probably going to find himself on another team like the Browns, or even Pittsburgh, that will take in these project players that have, issues like this. I've never heard of somebody just absolutely quitting on a team other than Antonio Brown. That he was, I think, the last player to do it, where he walked off the field a couple seasons ago.
Yeah, he tore his shirt off.
Yeah,
off the field.
Yeah. So this is this is the biggest slap in the face to your team and your teammates, but at the same time, look, I'm going to give Campbell a little benefit of the doubt here and just say he probably should have started. Yeah. I get it. The Greenlaw was the starter before, but this is the Thursday night football game, and you've been putting it on the line all season, and your coach puts you on the bench because somebody's coming back from an Achilles injury. I would have rotated him in, and it would have been a little bit of a softer blow, right, to Campbell's ego. Things probably would have been fine.
Yeah. I thought you had a great point there that there's going to be either people in the media or Lions fans, even though we're 12-1, that are like, oh, we should pick him up.
Yeah.
Ain't happening.
You
Not
don't
gonna
you don't bring these kinds of guys in, man.
I totally agree with that.
They just they can make your locker room sick, if you know what I mean. They can make it sick. They infect it with a virus, and next thing you know, that everything this team has built all season long just comes tumbling down like a block, a bunch of blocks that hit the ground. You don't want to see it happen. 10 more likes to get ads off, says Tracy, and we're gonna make sure we get that done. We are almost there. We're just at 8:33 a.m. and now we're gonna kick it into gear with some Lions news. First and foremost, I know that there's a lot of pissed off fans this morning. I know there is, and most of them, all of them, are season ticket holders, and I get it. And I'm going to give you my 2 cents on it as well. Last year when this happened, I was reluctant to say anything because look, we've had the benefit of having low ticket prices for such a long time. I mean, when I could tell you to sit in a premium seat was only $100 a game, and now that same ticket is $300 to $600 a game, depending on where you're buying it, whether it's a season ticket price or whether it's the secondary market, is crazy. There's definitely one guy, though, today that is not happy, and that is the guy that got in Matt LaFleur's face. And I forget his name. Is it Fahad? Was that his name?
Yeah,
Fahad?
exactly. Yep.
So what we had found out is this wasn't the first time he's done this. This was the second time. And he admitted so in an interview that this is the second time that he has done this. And I feel like he's doing it more of, he's kind of having fun with the moment, right? Not thinking that it's going to go as far as what it did. And like, come on, the throat slash thing, your own players do that crap. Now, I get it. It gets a flag if it's seen, but your own players do that stuff. A lot of players in the NFL do that stuff. They do all sorts of stuff. So to target a fan because he's just having fun, say he took it a little bit further than he needed to, maybe. But Matt LaFleur should have never approached a fan. He's the one that escalated it.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't handle a little bit of ribbing or, guys kind of having fun with you and look, this is competition. This is rivalry. What do you expect it to be? It's not like he broke the plane of your personal space. He didn't get into your personal space. He didn't leave the field. He didn't even walk really away from the flag. Now, if he would have broke, someone's personal space, then I would understand it even more. I feel like this went a little bit too far, and I don't think that this guy should have had his season tickets taken away. Yeah, it's a bad look for the Lions. It's a bad look for the fans. And I'm sure some of you aren't going to agree, with what I'm saying here, but I think that there should have been a different result here. I really do. Because this is a guy that's obviously had tickets for I don't know how long. And he's, been paying the price like everybody else. Yeah, maybe he should have stayed in his own corner, but Matt LaFleur should be just as punished here for escalating it. Because it wasn't until LaFleur got up, within feet of this guy's face, that's when it started to escalate. From every video, from every angle that I've seen, it doesn't seem as bad as what I think LaFleur is making it out to be, and I think LaFleur made it worse. And I'm not just saying that because he's a Packer. This guy had his tickets taken away. Now let's talk about season ticket price hike. Before I do, Eric, what are your comments on this whole thing?
Well, my comments with that,
your tickets are open now. Now you got tickets you can buy.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I actually emailed my lady about it. But she said there's going to be other season ticket holders in line first for those tickets, so I'll have to wait. But Matt LaFleur, if you take him and put him back in Lambeau Field on his sideline, and you take Dan Campbell and put him on the sideline in Lambeau, and it's pregame. They're bringing out the large American flag, and a Green Bay fan does exactly what happened to LaFleur in Ford Field. The exact same thing. Our coach would handle it different. You know what our coach would do? He'd look down at his play sheet. He'd walk over to his security guard and say, that gentleman over there needs to go. He's out of line. Calmly and directly would just say to a security guard, listen, you guys need to listen to me. That gentleman needs to go. That's it. No hubbub, no screaming at a fan. And listen, you watch that video, and one of my friends put up a video that was like 2 or 3 people behind him and was filming the flag ceremony with their phone. Same thing I did when I did the flag ceremony on Monday Night Football. And they got it from field level. And it is atrocious that this coach charged not once, not twice, but 3 times charged at that fan.
Yeah.
And went after him and had to be held back by security and other coaches and other players. And then players were trying to go after him as well. It's a fan on the field. He is no threat to any of you. Even if he's doing this, I don't care. That doesn't matter to me. Now, was the fan out of line? Yes. Should he have been taken away from the flag ceremony? Yes. Should he have been told, I'm sorry, but your perks have been removed? Yes. I don't believe he should have been kicked out of the game like he was at halftime, and I don't believe he should have had his season tickets taken away. That's a lot of money, and that's a lot of faith he had in a team that was no good for 30 years.
I mean, he took it on the chin. I mean, in the interview that I watched, he understands why the Lions did this. So at least he's, and I'm sure he's not happy about it today. And every day that goes on, I'm sure he's going to get a little bit more ticked off. But I think you're exactly right. You know, there's more ways to handle this. And I think that, for one, I don't think anyone's going to stand up to Dan Campbell. I don't think any fan is going to look at Dan Campbell like, yeah, that's the guy I want to go pick on. That's not going to happen. Dan will just lat slap you and it's over. But no, you're right. Dan's going to look at his sheet. He's going to walk over to security and say, look, this guy just needs to get off the field. He just, he just needs to be out of here. To send him back to his seat.
And LaFleur's been fined for losing his cool before.
Yeah. Is what it is.
He's gotten unsportsmanlike conduct before for losing his cool on the refs.
Well, now you've got season tickets that are open to purchase, and talking about season ticket prices. So another, 15 to 30% increase this season. I got to be honest with everybody. I think what the Lions are doing right now is wrong.
It's criminal.
And I think do I think that last season there should have been an increase? Yes. Do I think it should have been, 30 to 60%? No. I think that what they should have done is put out a letter and said, hey, this is the common prices around the league, and we're well below. And if you remember, we didn't have any price increases during COVID and things like that. So we're due for some increases. So over the next 4 seasons, if you remain a season ticket, holder, we're going to do a 15 to 20% increase around the stadium. And we're going to, slowly, incrementally get these ticket prices back up to where they need to be. Number one, the reason why I'm saying that is because a lot of very loyal fans for decades lost their tickets last year or this year because they couldn't afford it. The people that have been waiting for this right now cannot enjoy it in the stadium because they can't afford to be there because of what the Lions did. I understand it's a business and they can do whatever they want. That's the whole part of capitalism, right? They can do whatever the hell they want and you don't have to buy their product. But to a loyal fan, and if they really care about what these fans mean to the team, which they say they do every week in every press conference, then you'd probably want to keep the fans that have been around this team for decades waiting to have a chance, to at least have an opportunity to see what the Lions are doing right now. Now there's going to be another subsection of fans next year that aren't going to be able to retain their tickets. It's almost, and I hate to put it this way, but this was a comment in one of the past videos. They said it almost seems like they're pricing the low class out of Detroit. And so they're trying to price it so that only people that make great money can go to these games and spend way more money on concessions and buying more product in the stadium. You get what I'm saying here, right? Now, I'm not saying that that's true, but that was a comment from one of the season ticket holders. They could barely scrape by and make it even, to get their tickets and hang on to their ticket. And if it wasn't for the payment program, they wouldn't be able to do it. And so now, yet again, I feel like the Lions are just taking advantage of a winning couple of seasons. Look, we haven't won anything. We haven't even won a Super Bowl. We won a couple of playoff games in the last 30 years. We won the NFC North once. And that's worth a $100 price hike per ticket or more?
Per game.
Per game. So you're talking $1,200, $1,300, $1,600. I've heard it all. People's tickets have gone from $100 a game to $200 a game. And now they're going to go up to $250 a game. And so the comment that was out there, right? Rod Wood. And I feel like I like Rod Wood, but I feel like this comment is way off. And I'm going to explain why in a minute. Quote from Rod Wood says, I understand the ticket increase was substantial for certainly lower bowl seats near the 50-yard line. Okay, well, what about the other seats? Because it was all substantial. Lions team president Rod Wood said this back in March. But I think people went back and looked at what they could have paid for those seats on the secondary market and what our playoff games were going for. It's really where the market is. That is false. You have artificially pumped up the price of the secondary market. Just because a lot of Lions fans want to go to these games, that's the only reason why these prices are high. It's because people are taking advantage of the Lions winning, finally. And every Lions fan that's been waiting wants a ticket, supply and demand. Come on, Rod, it's business 101. But I went and checked around the league. So let me do it with you guys. I'm going to we'll go to Ticketmaster, okay? We'll go to Ticketmaster.com right now. I'm going to do this live. So give me, in the chat, you tell me one of the most winning teams in the NFL right now. I know who you're going to say, Kansas City Chiefs, right?
Yep.
All right, let's do Kansas City Chiefs. Pittsburgh Steelers and Kansas City Chiefs right now. Tickets for December 25th, Christmas. Guess what? I can buy a ticket in row J of section 520 for $200. So the upper bowl for $200.
And that's secondary market.
And that's secondary market, Rod Wood. I could buy the most expensive ticket right now, the best seat, section 134, row A. So that is 50-yard line, front row, $1,350. You're probably going to be able to get the first playoff game for $1,350 somewhere in Ford Field.
Oh, yeah.
Somewhere. 134, row C. So right next to row A, someone has some sense, $717. These are the best seats in the house. Now, again, somewhere between lowest price and the most expensive price, if I want to filter this and go to most expensive, and I'll include fees, that $200 ticket is $246. Explain to me why this is happening with the Lions tickets. Fees are $46, including taxes and everything for this ticket. That same ticket for the Detroit Lions, here, let's go to the Lions, is going to have about $150 worth of fees. Why are the fees so much more expensive on Ticketmaster for the Lions? Who's collecting these fees? Are the Lions getting part of these fees? I think they are. And I would love for somebody to tell me. And I'm probably going to reach out to Ticketmaster today to find out. Because it doesn't make any sense that the fees are so much more expensive for the Lions than any other team. And it doesn't matter what team we're traveling to, the tickets are artificially inseminated. I'm sorry. They're way pumped up. And the biggest part of that is the fees. I've seen tickets that the fees were almost just as expensive as the seat itself. Standing room only for this weekend, $325. So you're not even in a seat. And with fees, it's not letting me add fees. Why is it not letting me add the fees to the ticket?
You got to put it in your cart.
No. There's usually a icon you can click, or a little toggle that you can click that says add fees. Like I just did it with Kansas City.
Yeah. It depends on what stadium it is. Like the California stadiums, it's in the ticket price. Some states, like for the 49er game, my tickets were cheap.
So let's be honest here. Detroit Lions and Buffalo Bills is about as important as Pittsburgh Steelers and Kansas City. Am I right?
Yep.
Pretty damn close games, right?
Yeah.
Probably some of the best games this weekend. Matter of fact, they are the best games this weekend. Same area of field, row or section 327 is twice as expensive. Just the bottom line price, $400 at Ford Field.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, Rod, that is not the price of the tickets. That is not the market. It's just you've got this amazing fan base that wants to come and watch this team, and it's driving up the prices because people are going to pay for it. That's our fault. We paid for the tickets. I bet you if we don't put 10,000 seats in Ford Field, that's probably going to change prices pretty quick.
Yeah.
Because they're going to lose millions of dollars. And I'm not saying to do that because I've always supported my Lions, but this just seems egregious to me. It seems like they are just playing on the hearts of the Lions fans and like, hey, we're winning. Man, we got to hurry up and make as much money as we can. It's a cash grab. What happens if we start losing? What happens if we lose for another 10 years? Are tickets going to go back down? Nope. I said my piece.
All right.
I think it's BS.
Well, I'll add a little bit to it. Megan Stefanski is the 2024 Detroit Lions Fan of the Year. And she is up for Fan of the Year for the entire NFL. She posted on X, good old Twitter, last night. Puke, have you guys seen the new season ticket holder fees and prices? And then she wrote, I believe this will end my streak of going to every game home and away. I'll still go to home games, but won't be able to travel anymore. Mine have doubled since 2023. It makes me sad. And that is coming from the Fan of the Year.
That is what they're doing, man. Well, let me tell you something.
They're pricing. Do you know that Megan works? Because I've done some stuff with Megan up here in the UP. She's from over in the Detour area, about 45 minutes away from me. And she works at a public library. And then her family owns a restaurant and an Airbnb. And she works every weekend and weeknights all summer long, all school year long, to make ends meet so she can afford to travel to every Lions game home and away. And she works her absolute butt off to be able to do that, because up here in the UP, there's no money. All right. And there's going to get to a point, which I think it is now, where people like her are not going to be able to afford to do this anymore. They're not going to be able to afford to go to home and away games.
Well, it's already happening. They can't even go to home games, let alone, you know what? It's cheaper to go to away games.
It's cheaper to go to away games. Listen,
I can get it. Yeah, but think about it, Eric. I can get a ticket to Chicago.
Yep.
And put $70 of gas in my car and pay probably half the rate of parking, not $100 for parking at Ford Field. I probably paid $35 parking in Chicago, and get a ticket for $200 is still cheaper than just the ticket to get into Ford Field.
Yep.
It's twice the cost. And I only live 2.5 hours away from both.
Have you been to Soldier Field yet?
Yeah.
Is it seats or is it bleachers like Lambeau?
No, they had some seats.
All right. 'Cause if I go to Soldier Field, I want to sit in seats. I don't want to sit on no bleachers.
I don't even remember if they had bleachers now. Hold on, buddy. I don't think they had any bleachers there.
Yeah. Okay. It's all seats. It's just, look at the prices for that game. Cheap. $200.
I know. I didn't look, but so here's the other point that I'm going to make. That $100 of Lions Loyal Cash really helps out here. Let me tell you. Come on, guys. You know what? Here's another thing that I'm going to mention for the Lions, what they should be doing for these loyal Lions ticket members. You know, all these giveaways that they're giving away at the door, you should just send your loyal Lions members a box every year with all of the giveaways for the entire year, for all of their tickets that they have, for all of their accounts that they have. Paying this much for seats, you should at least just make sure they are able to get all the giveaways. Just send them a box with everything. I know you get to select one item or an on-field experience every year. Just send them everything. You know, that would be the nicest gesture. It's probably going to cost you $15 of shipping. I'm sure that you can get some company to donate the shipping to you as far as an advertising promo. But this is getting egregious. All right, I'm going to get off my soapbox because it's probably going to get me in trouble. So, yeah. Good Lord. I got to go to an ad.
Every day, thousands of people are discovering Uperlights, Michigan's newest, funnest rock to go find on the shores of the Great Lakes. Don't go out with just any light. Try the Convoy C8 from Uperlights.com. It's guaranteed for life, and you'll find all the ones everyone else misses. Quality UV lights that are perfect for Uperlights with prices starting as low as $20. Please make sure to visit Uperlights.com for all your UV flashlight needs with the best guarantees on the market. Just what you wanted and not what you didn't. The best quality, the best guarantees, and the best UV flashlights from Uperlights.com.
Okay, I'm back and I'm wearing a smile. It is the Rise and Grind Morning Show. We're getting to the second hour, and guess what? Jared Goff sends out a warning to his teammates this week. When I saw that headline, I'm like, oh, what happened? What's going on? But it's actually good. It was real good to hear what Jared had to say. He just said this. He says, we have to keep winning. We love to say at 12-1, our division wrapped up, but it's not even close. We have two teams on our heels that are pushing us pretty hard. We've got to keep winning. I'm sure they're just waiting for us to lose, which you know they are. If we lose, that allows, Green Bay and the Vikings to have a chance. So I was looking at Green Bay's record, right? They're 9-4. Lions are 12-1. So if the Lions go to 13-1, the worst that could happen, if the Lions win one more game, the worst that could happen is that then Green Bay could tie us if they won out and we lost out, which means we would still win the NFC North over Green Bay. So Lions have to win one more game. That's it. And then they take care of Green Bay. They have to win two more games, I believe, to handle the Vikings. If I'm well, then I guess week 18 matters.
Correct.
So they have to win two more games, which one of them should be week 18. So really they win three more games and it's done, but that keeps your Lions playing throughout the rest of the season. This last offseason, when I started going through the schedule and picking the games that the Lions are going to win and kind of reviewing what each team was going to do and where they were going to fit, I got to go back and look at the original board. We forgot about the board this whole season, but I had this board set of where I thought each team was going to finish. So I'm going to have to go back to that original video and figure out what we did and what I selected. But I said it was 14-3 was going to take the North. And I thought 14-3 would get a 1 seed for the Lions. And now it's going to be really close for that to happen. It's going to take the Eagles to lose a game. It's going to take the Vikings to lose a couple of games. So just like they're waiting for us to lose, we're waiting for them to lose too, because that takes the pressure off. But I think the Lions play well under pressure, and they're not going to stop, even though that their foot is in the door, right? They're in the tournament now, according to Aaron Glenn. I've never heard him call it the tournament. That sounds like March Madness to me. At least, we're in, but that's not enough for these guys. They need that 1 seed more now than ever because of the way that this defense has just been decimated all season. And we're getting some players back, but still, I think that it's going to matter that much more to be at home. And hey, never mind. I'll leave it alone. I was going to say something else. Eric, what do you think about the message to Jared Goff, or from Jared Goff?
I love it. And I'm going to say this. I am to the point now. I'm done rooting for the Vikings to lose. I'm done rooting for the Eagles to lose. I'm done. Well, kind of done lose. Packers don't matter. but I'm done waiting for other teams to help us out. As a fan now, I just want to win. Everything else takes care of itself. And I think that's Dan Campbell's mindset. And I think that is Jared Goff's mindset, that if you just win, everything takes care of itself. If we just win, we're the number 1 seed. If we just win, we win the NFC North. If we just win, we go into the playoffs, a hot team. We just have to win. And for us to go from 0-16 to 16-1 would be the most incredible turnaround in sports history. To go from 2008 to 2024, to go from the most losingest team in history to winning them all but one, would be absolutely incredible. And that's kind of what I'm trying to look forward to and hoping happens. And I expect to win this weekend.
I mean, I agree with you. I think it's going to be epic that if the Lions are able to pull that off. But I would say I think we're pretty far removed from 08. Like if they would have done it in 10 or 11 or 12, I think it would have been hot and fresh in everybody's mind. And they've been like, yeah, that's an amazing comeback story. But we're talking, 16 years removed from 0-16. So, hey, wait a minute. There's a little knowledge drop in there. 16 years removed from 0-16.
Exactly.
And now we're 16-1 potential. There's something cooking here.
If you go to any social media platform, any of them, what does every Packer fan, every Viking fan, and every Bears fan say every day, all season long? Only team to go 0-16.
Yeah.
Every single day. Only team to never play in a Super Bowl. Every day. They give us a history lesson every day on stuff that we lived through and we know, and we don't need a history lesson anymore from the fans of other teams. We know what we lived through.
Yeah. Oh, man. We
So
just got to get it done.
That's why. Exactly. That's why I'm done rooting for other teams to lose or to help us out. If it happens, it happens. But I'm not expecting the Vikings to lose another game until week 18. I'm not expecting the Packers to lose to the Seahawks this week. I'm just not expecting for the Steelers to take care of the Eagles this week. Would I like it to happen? Sure, I'd like it to happen, but I don't expect it to happen. Any other season in NFC North history, if there was a team that went 12-1, they would have already locked up the division. In any other season,
I would agree, man. So let's move into what's going on with the injury report here.
Mm-hmm.
So one goes down and 3 more stand up has been kind of the path that the Lions have taken this season. But this week, fortunately, the Lions are getting a lot of players back from injury. So yesterday's injury update was Levi Onwuzurike was a limited participant the last couple of days. DJ Reader went from a non-participant to limited yesterday. Taylor Decker, Ali McNeil, and Josh Pascal, all full participants yesterday, which is trending for them to be in this week's game. Even if we were to get those last 3 and those last 3 only up this week, that is a huge win, right? So you got 3 stepping up, and then you got 1 that fell behind, and that was Trevor Nowaski. He has been instrumental at playing linebacker this year for the seasons. Or this season for the Lions. Wow, those words are all messed up. He's really been instrumental at playing linebacker for the Lions this season. As you may remember, last year he came in off of a UDFA contract, was put on the practice squad, and then the Cardinals snaked him from us, right? They poached him. And this one hurt because the Lions tried to hide him and activated him on the 53-man roster. Only for a couple weeks later, he had to go back down, and that's when he was poached. The Lions, they repaid the favor, and they poached him back this season. So this was a player that they identified early had great potential, and I think it speaks volumes to what Brad Holmes and that entire crew there that is identifying these players throughout every season of who can make a difference, and where these free agents are going to come from and what are the types of players that fit us the most and how can they help this team win? Trevor Nowatzki has been one of them. And he's really played pretty damn good ball. I feel like he's got a big ceiling ahead of him, and I think that he's got a long career in the NFL as long as he can stay healthy. But he is down with a concussion right now, and I don't know if this happened in the last game and now it just kind of popped up, or if it happened in the padded portion of practice yesterday, and that's or the day before, whenever it was, and that's I didn't hear any other news on it. I have no idea where this concussion came from. So if you guys know, let me know, but I have not seen where it popped up from and why, but it happened. So right now we're down a linebacker, and according to, let's see, who was this? Who said this? According to Dan Campbell, he said, well, look, he said, Brad's done a good job of bringing guys in that really fit us no matter who they are. You can overcome a lot if you get guys that are conscientious. They're willing to do what you ask them to do, and they're going to go all out. This was Dan Campbell on Sirius XM's Moving the Chains. And then he said, and then it's on us as coaches to give them a plan that they can go out there and play fast, even if they are here for 3 days. That's where I give a lot of credit to Aaron Glenn for this game, Terrell Williams, our D-line coach, Calvin Shepard, our linebackers coach. We had 4 guys who played in that game that were here for 3 days, basically, and they all contributed to that win. And that's a credit to those guys in that room, those coaches, getting them prepared and then making a plan such to where they could just cut it loose. But no, we're not taking excuses. And you can't, because once you let that in the door, then everything's an excuse. Those guys, whoever you are, we're going to give you a chance to make a play and help us do our job. But you've got to hold up your end of the bargain and go balls to the walls. I love it. I love it, Dan Campbell. So what he's saying here is if, in fact, the Lions need to bring in another linebacker, because, and no, it's not going to be Devondre Campbell, they're gonna do what they have to do, and they expect the player to make the plays. So if Trevor Nowatzki can't get up for this week, which could be likely, you would think that we have enough right now, but we just don't. Like, we are so thin at linebacker. We can't take another loss. We got Long, we have Quan Alexander, we have Jack Campbell, but man, we are missing depth behind these players, and that's where Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes and the scouting crew are going to have to do their magic once again and find somebody to come in that can play right away. What are your thoughts on the Lions injury news here? So DJ Reader, the fact that he was limited yesterday, today is a big day. Mm-hmm. He has got to be, full participant, even though it's just a walkthrough. We may not see DJ Reader this weekend. I'm still 50-50 on Reader. But it's good to see Decker, Aleem, and Pascal up. I mean, that is huge for what this defense needs. And Levi Onwuzurike with a hamstring, I'm more than 50%. I'm more 70-30 on Levi that he's going to be up this weekend. So what are your thoughts on the Lions injury report?
Well, if DJ Reader can't go, I would hope that Levi can go. And if Pat O'Connor can play like he did last week with Aleem McNeil next to him, I'm happy. I think that'll be just fine. Pat O'Connor filled in admirably. And listen, I know he was the lowest PFF scored defensive player for the Lions. I don't care. My eyeballs told me something very different. Even during the game, just watching it live before I watched it again on TV, Pat O'Connor stuck out to me. And he was the one player that I noticed was getting pressure up the middle. It wasn't our 3rd round pick there. What's his face?
Baki? What are you talking about?
No. Our 3rd round pick from a couple of years ago just came back, Broderick Martin. And, it wasn't Martin that was getting the push and being disruptive. It was Pat O'Connor. And, man, what a pickup that guy's been from some practice squad, some out of the middle of nowhere, nobody guy. And we had a bunch of those last week. And if we have to have a couple of nobody guys step up again this weekend, well, I guess that's what we need to do. Pat O'Connor's got another 10 days in the system. So does Quan Alexander, David Long, they both got 10 more days in our system. They're coming along. I think we'll be just fine.
You know, it's not like these guys don't know how to play football, right? I mean, Aaron Glenn kind of said it best yesterday that this is not so much about their ability to play the game. It's the scheme. So to your point, being in the system, it's learning the scheme and applying the technique that is going to help these guys in this game versus the Bills. So having another, 5 practices or 6 practices or whatever it's been since last Thursday is going to help the guys like Quan Alexander and David Long, who's now been with us for a couple of weeks. It's only going to help him get better. And I love what David Long does. I mean, the guy is just fearless, and the way that he attacks the gaps, like I quoted, when we brought him in, the guy is a gap crusher. I mean, he knifes into those gaps and attacks the ball carrier. I love what David Long's doing. So I'm confident, right, in the players that we have. The Ben Nyman, someone mentioned Ben Nyman a minute ago. Like, he's been starting. I think that he's going to continue to start. And he's just another guy that, I focused on in the offseason, or free agency, whenever it was we picked him up. And I felt that this was a guy that had to make the roster just by watching him play the game. He looked like a version of Jack Campbell to me. And he's been really fun to watch. And he plays excellent ball in special teams. So I think that we're okay, but we're thin. We're just thin. We can't take another loss right now in the linebacker room. Thankfully, we got a guy named Jamal Adams who's playing in this hybrid role, and I can't wait to see what his role is going to be against Josh Allen, because I think his role is going to be critical this weekend. I think that Jamal's going to get that hybrid tag of, you've got to cover Josh, you've got to keep your eyes on Josh, and you've got to maintain, your integrity over the middle here. And if it's Dalton Kincaid or whoever he's got to go up against over the middle, I think that's going to be his responsibility. So it'll be interesting to see where that game develops. On the other side of the ball, though, the Bills are not without problems. Rasul Douglas did not practice yesterday. He's the most important person, in my opinion, in the backfield for the Bills. Damar Hamlin did not practice. He's suffering with back and ribs. And Taylor Rapp did not practice. So you've got 3 very important safeties and corners that are not practicing right now, both days this week. So today, if they're not up, they're out. And they could be out. If they're out, this really opens the possibility for the Lions in it being a big-time shootout. Or at least, if we can't contain what the Bills are doing, that it will be a shootout, because we'll be able to push the ball downfield. Eric, you had something here on Douglas and Rapp and Hamlin.
Yep. Yeah. So, longtime Buffalo Bills safety Micah Hyde could return to the starting lineup on Sunday against the Detroit Lions. The Buffalo Bills will look to stay in the race for the top seed in the AFC with a huge matchup against the Detroit Lions on Sunday. And it's a huge matchup. And what this article goes on to say is that the Bills may also be without crucial players in their starting unit. Starting safeties Taylor Rapp and Damar Hamlin both missed practice on Thursday after suffering injuries against the Los Angeles Rams last week. If Buffalo is without 2 of their starting safeties, they will likely have to pull from their practice squad for some depth. And if they do, there's a clear option, and that's Micah Hyde, the all-pro safety, signed with the Bills practice squad in November after the team chose not to re-sign him in the offseason. He has spent the previous 7 years of his career with Buffalo, where he was a 2-time all-pro. But he's been sitting on the bench the entire season. I don't know if he's played a single play all year. He's got the experience, but I don't know if he's got the rust or not.
All right. Sorry, I got a little bit of an audio issue.
Okay.
Just give me 1 second here.
Something on your end or my end?
It's on my end. I don't know what happened. All right. It sounds hollow over here for some reason.
Oh, okay.
So it is what it is. I'm going to keep rolling through here. So I missed the majority of what you were saying. But yeah, if either of those guys are out, you got to put Micah Hyde in. I mean, clearly that's going to benefit the Lions, but these are professional athletes. I mean, I expect them all to play at a high level, and until we see them on the field and know what they're going to be able to do, I'm still expecting the Lions to go into this game prepared for anybody and anything that they're going to be faced with. I think the Bills are, their defense is what it is at this point. I'm less concerned about the Bills defense, more concerned about the Bills offense and what our defense is going to be able to do. I think that I've kind of spelled it out here in this next segment that we're going to take till 10 o'clock is talking about the Lions and the Bills matchup. And I've brought in a lot of points here that we'll try to get through quickly. And before I do that, I do want to bring in some audio of Fitz and Wit talking about Jared Goff. I meant to do this a minute ago when I was talking about Jared Goff, but I forgot. So I want to bring in Fitz and Wit, unless you have anything else real quick before I do that.
No, I'm good. Let's go.
All right, let's do it. So Fitz and Wit talking about Jared Goff yesterday. I thought that this was, the other day anyway. And I was listening to it last night. And I thought, I want to share this because I don't know how many people have listened to Fitz and Wit. Their channel is very new. They've only got about 11,000 subscribers, and I'm sure it's going to be a banger real soon. These guys, obviously some of the best to do it, right? And I love Fitz. I just love what he's all about. And Wit, there's nothing. There's just not another. This is a great pair to watch, listen to their podcast. So I'm going to be a regular listener from now on. But Fitz and Wit talking about Jared Goff. Here we go.
Drew and Jared Goff and kind of the special relationship.
Drew is
Goff
Witt's
was
son.
On the desk afterwards. What a great dude to talk to. And even talking through some of the situations with him, fourth down, they knew it all week, 4th and 5 or less, they're going for it. They didn't get one on their own 30. They got one at the end of the game, when they were already in field goal range to make sure that Green Bay didn't have a chance. But then after that interview, Drew's standing by, and there's a little moment with Jared and Drew that I just thought was pretty cool and had to be neat for you as a dad as well.
It is, man. Jared obviously is, somebody I consider a little brother. And when I came to Los Angeles Rams in 2017, he had a rough rookie season. You think of Bryce Young, possibly just to think of somebody recent, really rough year. Jeff Fisher's last year here as the Rams. Sean McVay comes in. I come in free agency, me and Robert Woods. And we have that turnaround to our season. And I'll never forget, man, just the day to day of what a young kid Jared was. 3 years at Cal, coming out, in LA now. It just lots of pressure to play that position at a high level, and you don't have a great success at first. And the next year you're a little beaten down just because of how tough it was. And you got to remember that was a defensive team. They were insane on defense. So there's lots of pressure from the defense. So why is the offense not any good? All those things. And it was almost like just seeing him have people believe in him. I think similar to things you've shared about Tua, seeing Sean McVay believe in him, seeing the Rams organization, like, hey, your future is going to be great. We're going to invest in you. It was cool to see. And then I'll never forget realizing how special he was going to be. A few weeks into the season, Michael, America's gotten to see, and you've gotten to be around, has a way to get his way is the best way I could put it. And he shares with Jared Goff after one of the games in the locker room that he had lost his goldfish at home. And he sat in Jared's locker the whole post game while Jared was doing post game interviews. And he must have just worked Jared over, because I'll never forget, Jared comes up to Melissa and I don't know how many times this has ever happened in the NFL. He comes up to Melissa and he says, hey, on Tuesday on my day off, can I come get a car seat from you? And we're like, why? He's like, well, I feel bad for Mike losing his goldfish. I'm going to come get a car seat. I want to pick him up from school. I'm going to take him to PetSmart, and we're going to get him some new fish. And so they end up, wow. I don't know if end up going. He gets a car seat from us. We strap it in his car. Michael's in kindergarten at this time. He picks Michael up from kindergarten, takes him to get him his own big, huge aquarium, two fish, all kinds of stuff. This is like the sickest aquarium a kid's ever had in their life. We could barely fit it in their room.
First pick money right there.
First pick money. And he named the two fish Goffy and Gurley for Jared and Todd cool. Gurley. And such a cool moment, you knew then, like, this kid gets it. Like, he gets, like, man, authentic relationships and creating bonds. And he's a little kid at heart himself. He's got a real passion for people. And that's why it was really cool to get the opportunity to give him his Walter Payton nominee, award and surprise him with that. Because for me, Jared and I had some really cool moments in LA. Obviously, we know how the trade ended up with Matthew Stafford coming in, him going to Detroit, and now he's responded. And I think it's worked out. One of the few trades you see, it's worked out amazing for everybody. I think everybody won in that trade. The Rams with the Super Bowl, Stafford with his success, Goff, obviously, and the success he's having in Detroit, and the new contract. He's gotten married. It's been amazing to watch, but also just the human being off the field. Jared's heart, the things he's done out in the community in LA. Him and I during COVID had an opportunity to, match donations to the food bank during COVID. We both gave $250,000 and matched each other to create meals for people who were really struggling. And it was a really neat moment of like big brother, little brother. We've had some special times, and let's do something special for other people. And then now what he's created in Detroit with his foundation and those things, it's cool for me to feel like at one time I was the guy inspiring him. And then now, man, I'm inspired in the way he's carried himself in Detroit, the character he's shown in that whole entire thing, to now even how he's built off of it and multiplied it into what he does in that community. It's really freaking neat to see. So I'm really happy for him, man. It's awesome to see great things happen to really great people.
I love this, listening to these guys talking about Jared Goff. And the reason why I wanted to play this is to kind of go in and talk about, his Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee. And just back, in 2017, he's a young player. And the thing that Witt said is that Jared Goff understands relationships and building these bridges, right, between the players and himself at such a high level. And doing something like this, if your offensive lineman's kid lost his goldfish and Jared wants to pick this kid up from school and he goes out and buys him this crazy aquarium and, the kid names one of the fish Goffy and just what a cool story, right? But I think that this is a story that tells you who your quarterback is. Just a good dude, a good human, right? Just gets along with everybody. He's great at building relationships. And I think that that's what you're seeing in Detroit right now is his relationships, not only with his receivers, but his offensive linemen and the rest of the team is bar none, probably the best it could ever be. And he's always working on something, which means he's always probably working on these relationships and doing these little unique things to really form a good bond. And without a good bond in the NFL between yourself and the other players on the team, sometimes you don't mesh, right? If you don't mesh, probably not going to play well together. But if you mesh and you have a good relationship and a good bond, now you're seeing what that's doing for the team that we now get to watch in Detroit and how well they play together as a team, how they have each other's back all the time. So Jared had this to say about the nominee. He said, "Once again, I am humbled to receive this nomination. My work off the field is deeply connected to my desire and responsibility to give back to my communities. To be a source of inspiration with the influence that I have is something I take seriously. Myself, my platform, and our partners remain committed to exemplifying the great values this recognition and award represents." I certainly hope that Jared really gets a good run at this award. I want him to win it. Of course, not just because he's a Detroit Lion, not just because he's our number 16. It's because of what he does in the community. It's because of what he's done since he's been in the league. He deserves it on such a high level. And hearing these stories from some of his teammates, I think it really represents the good-natured dude that Jared Goff is. So big shout out to Jared Goff, man. Keep doing excellent things in the community. I know that he is. His platform is growing. And what he's doing off the field really helps the community. So big ups to Jared, man. Comments from you before we move on to the Bills-Lions breakdown here.
Yeah, I'm going to have to subscribe to that podcast, Fitz and Wit.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, it sounded pretty good. I liked it. And I forgot all about Wit being, the offensive lineman that came in and helped Jared Goff get to a Super Bowl and was with him the whole time there. So yeah, I forgot all about that. And
yeah, Witt was super important to Jared, man. Super
and
important.
I was wondering why he was the one that announced that Jared was the Walter Payton Man of the Year at the game.
Yeah, they're good buddies.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So
yeah, they're good buddies.
That's very cool.
Relationships are everything in this world, man. And
Yeah.
you know, it doesn't matter what you do in life or where you work. Relationships are everything. That's why they always say it's not about what you know. It's about who you know. And you know, that's why I love what I do here and being able to work with so many different people, cross collaborating with other podcasts or, you know, other media members or whomever, right? I don't ever want to be a solo adventure because I feel like if you can't build relationships, you're always going to stay solo. I don't want to be solo. I want to make sure that, you know, this is always open to everybody to feel comfortable, you know, to talk football, because that's what it's all about. It's about the football. It's about the fans. It's about bringing the fans together. It's about bridging the gap between the fans and the team, which is something that I take seriously and I enjoy it 1000%. And it's all because of you guys too. All right. So Dan Campbell talking about Lions Bills pregame number 2 here today. We're going to do a couple of things. We're going to get into a couple of things that are a little bit more granular, I guess. I did watch the Rams and Bills game last night. And the first thing that I want to throw out is the Buffalo Bills had a lot of yards, right? They had a lot of points. Allen went crazy, right? 6 touchdowns he was responsible for. But if you don't pay attention to the box score, you would think that it was just a shootout and it was just a close game. And it really wasn't. The Rams were up by 21 points to enter the fourth quarter. So they scored 7 in the first, 17 in the second, 14 in the third, and the Bills scored 7 in each of those quarters. So they were up, what is that? 38 to 21. So they were up by 17 points, and then they got 6 in the fourth. So you call it 23 if you want. I don't know when and where the 6 were scored. Even if they're up 17 points, the Bills had to score 21 points in the fourth quarter. And to me, when I watched the game, it just looked like the Rams kind of fell back into that zone bend but don't break. And it's the same thing that we see with the Lions when they have a big lead and they're going into the fourth quarter and they think that they're just going to be able to, you know, score again. And it doesn't matter if the team that they're up against scores 3 or 4 touchdowns because the game is too far put away at that point. But in this case, it really wasn't. And the Bills marched back and were able to pick apart this defense and kind of allowed things to get out of control. But I don't think that this game was as close as what the score really says it is. So first, I wanted to start it with that. Second is Dan Campbell meeting his match this weekend with Sean McDermott. And what I'm talking about is going for it on fourth down. So far in 2024, the Bills have gone for it 15 times on fourth down and converted on 13 for an 87% conversion rate. The Lions have gone for it 22 times, converting on 15 for a 68% conversion rate. McDermott obviously converted at a much higher level. All Lions opponents, though, have gone for it 20 times and converted only 7 for a 35% conversion rate, which speaks volumes to the defense. By the way, though, the Lions' fourth down attempts places them in 9th place overall for the most fourth down attempts in 2024. So my question, why the hell are we not talking about the other 8 teams? Why are we not talking about the other 8 teams' coaches? Why are we not saying that they're reckless? Like this dude. Where's it at?
This is reckless.
Why are we not talking about the other 8 teams in that fashion? Anybody have an answer? Because I certainly don't. I don't know why Dan Campbell's getting picked out of the bunch here. Is it because of the way that he did it? Because of where he did it? I don't know. But I found, I started digging yesterday and I'm looking at all this stuff and I'm like, okay, McDermott's going to be going for it on fourth down. We are going to be in a match on Sunday where it's no holds barred, man. This is a cage match that's about ready to unleash never been a fan of wrestling, but I've always loved that term, a cage match. So what do you think, Eric?
Well, would it surprise you if I told you the Browns have went for it the most on fourth down? Followed.
Yeah, they were.
Second,
They are the number one team.
Followed second by the Bears.
Yeah, so I think the Browns win for what, like 35 times or something?
34.
34.
And the Bears have went for it 28 times. Nobody's talking about the Bears because the Bears aren't getting them. But then followed by the Giants, the Cowboys, the Falcons, the Dolphins, the Panthers, the Jaguars, and all the way down at number 9 is the Lions. So why are we getting all this hype for fourth downs? I think it's because it was on a Thursday night. We went for it 5 times. And when we went for our fourth down, the one from the 31-yard line was in the third quarter with a lead from our own side of the 50. And that's why everyone's criticizing it, because even myself in the stands during the game, I'm like, what the hell are we doing? No. I would much rather have seen a fake punt right there rather than us going for that fourth down. And I think a lot of ours are fourth down scoring attempts where we get touchdowns instead of field goals. And that might be another reason why we are getting criticized for our fourth downs where everyone else isn't, because they're doing it out of necessity. We maybe not are doing it so much out of a necessity, but wanting to score more points and steal possessions away from other teams. And we're doing it with a lead where these other teams are doing it out of desperation.
I heard you, and I agree with all that. Sorry, I had technical difficulties over here. So yeah, I agree with all that, man. I mean, who are the other 8 teams again? So you had the Browns, the Bears,
The Giants, the
Cowboys,
the Falcons, the Dolphins, the Panthers, and the Jaguars. So not one team with a winning record.
Well, the Dolphins are like the only team that are halfway decent, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably why, all these teams are losing. Is it because they're going for it on fourth down? No, I think those teams are doing it out of desperation.
Mm-hmm.
They're not doing it to win games. They're not doing it to change the game. They're doing it because they have to, not because they want to. And I think Dan Campbell's doing it because he feels that's the right decision. Big difference. But, I still would say, why are we not talking about these other teams and their head coaches? Because if they clearly have a crap record and they're calling these, fourth down and goes consistently all the time, more than the Lions, and not getting them, I think then you need to question, is it the team? Is it the coach? Is it the situation? What is it? I think Dan Campbell just understands situational football way more than what most people do. Matter of fact, if I have time, I'll bring in some audio from Rex Ryan, but I don't know if we'll have time. All right, so let's talk about Allen. I mentioned this yesterday. We've got to control Allen. He's the most important thing in this game. We have to control him and keep him in the pocket. Allen scrambled 2 times versus the Rams. He gained 30 and 35 respectively on each scramble. If the Lions rush 4 and can't get home, I don't see the Lions really rushing 5 and selling out and then allowing Allen to pick up the blitz and burn the Lions downfield, because that's what's going to happen. Allen is really good at picking up the blitz, and he's really good at escaping. And he's probably going to beat you downfield. Doesn't matter if it's his legs or it's his arm. We went through the stats yesterday. He's completing more off-schedule scramble throws for more yardage than he is just pocket passing, which is nuts to me. So when Allen is getting outside of the box and whether it's a boot or whether, whatever he's doing, he's going to complete the pass downfield. And he did it against the Rams without Dalton Kincaid, without Keon Coleman. And those guys are going to be back this weekend. Their wide receiver room might be one of the best in the league. It might be the best in the league, honestly. And I hate saying that against my Lions, but they are so deep. Everywhere they've got a playmaker. I'm hoping to see the Lions do this, though. And it's something we haven't seen a whole lot. And I watched this, from a few of the Bills games where they were able to contain Allen. It was when they went into a 3-3-5. So if they slip into a 3-down lineman, 3 linebackers, and 5 DBs, so the 3-3-5, it's not something that's very common that the Lions would even use out of a 4-3 hybrid defense, but it can be done at least a few times to kind of throw the Bills off. But if you think about it, I guess what I'm seeing here is, when Jordan Love or Anthony Richardson or even Kyler Murray are bottled up and 3 of our linemen are within, or 3 or 4 of our linemen are within 6 inches of these guys, that they just slip forward and they scramble out and they get 20 yards, or they find a deep shot. Somebody sitting over the middle, somebody that got away, and they're getting 40 yards on the deal. Happened time and time and time again that we've seen it this season. Our guys are this close. Let me change screens here. The guys are absolutely this close from getting to the quarterback, and then there they go. Now, it may not happen repeatedly over and over and over again, but it happens at the wrong time. It's the right time for the offense. It's the wrong time for the defense. So I don't think that this is a game where we're going to see the Lions trying. I said this yesterday, where they're going to be trying to sack Allen. I think that that's a mistake. I think that if you sit back and you just try to contain him, then you don't need 4 down linemen. You need 3. And then you put in 2 edge rushers, right? So it's kind of having 5 guys up on the line, but you bring in 2 edge rushers, or you bring in extra linebackers or DBs, and you just contain. If you keep everything under, 7 to 12 yards and you hone in on it, I think that you have a better chance of stopping Allen this weekend than if you go straight up 4-3 defense, rush the edge, and blitz too often. I think that that's what's going to hurt us. And one of the reasons why is because Keon Coleman is a problem. He's the biggest recipient of what Josh Allen is doing when he's doing these off-schedule throws, when he's scrambling and getting out of the pocket. He finds Keon Coleman. He has been the biggest target for Josh Allen this year. And as a rookie, this guy's having a pretty damn good season for what he's been able to do. So for me, it's let's not sell out. Right? Let's not blitz, because Josh Allen is one of the best against the blitz. You're going to have to blitz some, right? Situationally, you're going to have to blitz, but it's more about, can we win the one-on-ones? Can these guys just win without blitzing? And if they're not able to win, that's when AG starts to blitz. And that's where I feel Josh Allen is going to pick us apart. What do you think, Eric?
I really think that a delayed blitz would work better. Possibly with some crossers. And I'm going to tell you about a player, and his name is Khalil Shakir. He has 735 yards receiving on the season. And before this season, I had never heard of this guy. I don't know where he came from. I don't know what other teams he's played on, but I play fantasy football and I do pretty well at it. 2 out of my 3 leagues I'm in, I made the playoffs, and Shakir is one of the reasons I made the playoffs. Like week 2 or 3, he had a pretty good couple of weeks. So I picked him up off waivers on all of my teams. And he is one of the players that has just been a consistent point getter, consistent touchdown getter for me all season long. And this guy's been on one heck of a run. And that's just looking at it from a fantasy football perspective. This guy's been really good. And I got a phone call. Get rid of that. So he, for me, is the one receiver that I really want them to lock down. Take him away, force them to go to Keon Coleman or to their tight end. Because they just drafted a tight end in the first round last year, I believe.
Kincaid.
Yeah, and he's pretty good. So I would like to see them really lock down Shakir. And if the other guys can dink and dunk on us, so be it. Let's stop the run game. Stop Shakir. That's what I would like to see.
Well, you just mentioned what the Bills do. They are a dink and dunk. When you look at the stats, when you look at the throwing charts, when you look at what they've done this season, Josh Allen is either completing the lowest. He's completing the lowest amount of yards per attempt per pass, right? But when he's off schedule and he's out of the pocket, that goes from like, what's the number? I have the number here. Hold on. It's right here. Career low for Josh Allen, 7.8 air yards per attempt. And that's 0.8 yards fewer than last season. So even last season, he kind of did the same thing. He's not really completing a lot of big passes. But then again, he is completing some big passes because in these off-schedule throws, he's averaging 18.7 air yards. So more than 2 times his average is being completed outside the pocket, on the run, evading a rush, picking up a blitz, getting rid of the ball quicker this season. He's only been sacked, I don't know what, 13 times, whatever it is, the fewest times, 13 times this season.
Wow.
It's the fewest sacks of all quarterbacks this year. And most of that is because Allen is able to escape the pocket, but he's also getting the ball out quicker than he ever has before. And I don't know if that's because the offensive line is forcing him to get rid of the ball and they're not able to protect him and they're allowing defenders to get back, or if they're utilizing, allowing defenders to get in, Jared or Josh to get out, and then he's getting rid of the ball. I mean, I guess there's 2 ways to look at it here. But I think the only way we need to look at it is he's getting rid of the ball in 2.79 seconds. When he escapes the pocket, he's on the run, he's the most dangerous. And that's where he's having the most success. So how do you stop it? Well, I think it's said simply, but it's not easy. You just have to tell your edge guys, set the edge. Do not let this guy get outside of you. And then you got to park a linebacker in the middle of that defense, covering that middle zone, and say nothing gets through the center of that offense. We will give up everything else on the field. But those 3 areas, those 3 zones, you cannot let anything get out of. Force him to beat you with his arm in the pocket. And that is where I trust our defensive backs and what they've been doing all season is not letting quarterbacks complete passes. What was the number? I think you said it earlier. 67% completion rate against our DBs.
Yeah.
I think that's the number. That's pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have some of the best ball hawkers in the game.
Yeah.
So for me, it's that simple, and it's not simple, right? It's going to be a tough game. I guess to flip it to the Lions offense real quick. In my opinion, the Lions are the best, most well-balanced offense in the league, bar none. They have 3,354 pass yards on the season, a completion rate of 72.5%, and it's not even close to anybody else what Jared Goff is doing. So the only teams that have more pass yards, the Vikings, the 49ers, the Falcons, the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Bengals. The next closest quarterback to out of all of them is Joe Burrow and Sam Darnold with a 68.6% completion rate. Jared has 4% more. His yards per attempt are 8.5, which I believe is second in the league or third in the league. And then when you flip it to the run game, we're about to break 2,000 rushing yards again. The Lions are 4th in the league with 1,964 rush yards, which means we're going to break 2,000 this game. So we are going to have 2,000 rushing and over, 3,500 yards passing. We're going to be pushing, pretty close to 7,000 yards of total offense by the end of the regular season. That's asinine, man. That is incredible work. So the most well-balanced machine that I've seen so far from an offense in the league.
We're going to end up with 2 wide receivers and 2 running backs, all with 1,000 yards.
Yeah, for the second season in a row.
Well, we had 3 last year.
I thought we had 4.
Nope, we only had 3, and it's never been done in NFL history.
Well, we had overall scrimmage yards. We had 4 with 1,000.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm talking pure passing yards and rushing yards.
Okay, I got you. Yeah,
Yep.
overall yards, we had 4.
Yep. Because Sam Laporta last year.
Yeah. Lauren McQuaig dropped in a note. He says, Bills starting linebackers, Dorian Williams, 228 pounds, Terrell Bernard, 224, and Teron Johnson, 192. Those are their weights. Bills ranked 19th against the run. Gibbs is over 1,000 right now, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's over 1,000.
Yep.
He was just shy last year. So talking about the Lions offense, not only are they the most well-balanced, right? But then you've got Jared Goff and his elite ball distribution. And what he put on, for a clinic last week, 6 receivers catching 5 balls or more, not only is an NFL record, but Goff is an extremely accurate tight window thrower. He does it week in and week out. I mean, you look at some of these passes that he makes, where Amon-Ra St. Brown has got 2-3 guys around him and he fits it right into that window and Ahmad grabs it and knifes forward for an extra yard. There's just not many quarterbacks that can do it like that. And I'm sick of people saying that Jared Goff is not an accurate passer or not a good passer of the football. Like, he's been leading the league, or near the top of the league for years. Almost every season but 2 has he been at the top of the list. And by top, I mean top 5. He's not afraid to thread the needle, but this is a game where it could come to haunt Jared Goff because the Bills got multiple ball hawkers. That's if they all play. We've got 3 of them that are possibly going to be out this game, but they have 17 takeaways on this defense, or they're plus 17 in the turnover differential. And this is a team that can punch the ball out and find a way to get their hands on a pass. And Jared Goff is going to have to be extremely cognizant of this and play very clean football. He cannot take any risks in this game. It's either going to be there or it's not. And then he's also one of the best at doing that too. If it's not there, he's going to dirt it. He's going to throw it out of bounds, or he's going to throw it where nobody can catch it. And that's okay. You live for the next play. In my opinion, the Bills almost play, well, this is not my opinion, this is a fact. The Bills almost play 80% of zone defense. Jared does his best work against the zone. And they also give up the most interceptions versus the zone. Goff does. So he has his best football against the zone, but he's also thrown the most interceptions against the zone. So that would have been the Texans that really skewed that number. And I think that we can all agree that maybe 2 of those were his fault. The other 3, maybe not. And then a few of the interceptions that Jared Goff has been credited this season before that game, I would say 3 of them were Jared Goff's fault and 2 of them were not, because, whether J-Mo running the wrong route or, holding calls not being called against the defense, or illegal contact not getting called against the defense. So there's excuses that can be made, but Dan Campbell doesn't like excuses. So Jared's going to eat them all, but he does his best work against the zone. He just has to be smart with the football. Very, very, very smart with the football. Lions scheme this weekend on offense. So I've been kind of pleading, if you will, with Ben Johnson over the past few weeks. Can we please, pretty please, with sugar on top, gummy worms, Oreos, whatever else you want, Ben, on your ice cream here, utilize the screen game against the Bills, please? If you go and watch the Rams game, oh boy, they tore the Bills up in the screen game. The last couple of weeks, we have seen more and more of some running back screens, even a couple of wide receiver screens. And this is a game where I feel like the Lions can really have some success in the screen game when the Bills are in that zone, right? And really trying to limit the pass downfield. That's when you start dinking it underneath and having some success. I love to see the run game get going. Obviously, that has to happen. That is a staple of this offense. But a couple of play action shots for 15 plus yards kind of back these guys up, and then bang, screen to Gibbs, 26 yards. He's gone. That's what I want to see. I know that, Eric, you've seen a couple of these beautiful screen passes, whether it's been to Gibbs or Monty. In either one, look, I'm comfortable with either of these guys getting the screen ball. But you want to talk about electrifying offense when they actually do it? Get one to J-Mo. You get J-Mo in space with a screen, he's gone. You put him in any open space and he'll make you miss. So out of those few nuggets there, what are you thinking about the Lions offense, screen game, Jared doing his best work against the zone, interceptions? Is Goff going to be able to play clean football this weekend?
They play zone. J-Mo is going to go off. J-Mo is going to have a day because he's going to catch the short stuff over the middle. And once he catches the ball, man, he gone. That kid is electric when he gets the ball. And I wouldn't mind seeing an end around. If you notice in the last game, J-Mo had 5 catches. And I think he had 6 targets. And he's catching the contested balls over the middle where he knows when he catches that ball, he gets in a fetal position because he knows that linebacker is crashing down on him. He's got no place to run and he's catching it anyway. And he's done it 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row where he's catching these balls over the middle. Man, that can be really dangerous because when he can actually catch one in stride and get around the safety or get around the linebacker, he's going to have a huge day. So this is my wild call for Friday. And I said this earlier in the week that J-Mo is going to have plus 100 yards and plus 1 touchdown. So he'll have over 100 yards and at least 1 touchdown, if not 2.
And for J-Mo this weekend?
Yep, for J-Mo this weekend. And I placed a very large sum bet on David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs to both have 1 touchdown.
Well, I'll get into those calls maybe tomorrow. I'm not ready to put my calls out yet. I got to see today's injury report. But let's bounce back to the Bills defense real quick. So the Bills defensive pass rush, really other than Greg Rousseau, the Bills pass rush has been anemic the last couple of weeks. They play, a lot of 5 or 6 DBs often, and I feel like their run and sub defensive fronts are really going to be a problem for the Bills against the Lions. It really opens up the Lions to go big with 3 tight ends or the jumbo sets and just pound this rock down their throat. You're talking 7 yards a rip that I feel like the Lions are going to be able to get on the Bills, if in fact that they get into a lot of these sub counts. And these sub fronts. It's going to allow the Lions to eat. And I feel like that's going to allow them to utilize the screen game too, because the minute they get into these 5 or 6 DB fronts, which a lot of teams have tried to use against us, look, they're trying to get fast, right? They're trying to eliminate the run game. They're trying to eliminate the short stuff, which the Lions use often. They use that short stuff to like J-Mo, like you mentioned, or Amon-Ra, or, just about any of the guys over the middle to kind of get going. Play action, it does its business for a reason. They do very well with it. But I feel like if they get into a lot of these run sub defense fronts, the Lions are going to tear it apart. And with their defensive pass rush really being anemic, I don't see Jared Goff being under a ton of pressure unless they do some unique blitzes, where they're sending some linebackers or some DBs off the blind side. And I'm really hoping that Taylor Decker's on his P's and Q's this weekend and can keep Jared upright, and that the Lions are smart with protections and shading, one side or the other to make sure that Jared Goff can stay clean. You give Jared Goff a clean pocket. You give him 2.8 seconds of time. He's going to eat you alive. He's done it all year. No one's been able to stop him. I feel like this is probably going to be one of Jared Goff's best games yet. And he's had some pretty incredible games, right? 18 for 18. He's had some pretty incredible games this season. I feel like Jared's just going to take it up a couple of notches and just kind of show everybody, look, when it's time to perform, we show up. And they've shown up every week, man. what's that, 12 wins in a row, 11 wins in a row, whatever we're at right now. He's been showing up every week. On the defensive side of the ball, though, I think that to your point, because you mentioned JMO, you have Christian Benford that is back there, and he's one of the bigger DBs at 205 pounds. He reminds me a lot of Jamal Adams' style of a DB, right? Bigger DB. He's had some action this season as the Bills are often in those 5 and 6 DB alignments. And I am hopeful that this is where JMO's going to be able to expose Benford's ability or inability to stick with JMO. So if JMO gets this matchup, which I'm expecting him to get, I think that, if you get JMO, anywhere used near the line of scrimmage with these short routes or these, wide receiver screens, Benford may win a couple of those matchups near the line of scrimmage because of his physicality. But then when JMO decides to spread the field, Benford's not going to be able to keep up with him. There's just no way. And with the way that their defensive backfield and the safety room is kind of banged up right now, I don't see anybody else being able to cover unless they try to double JMO up. I feel like Jared Goff's kind of ripe for the picking here. And he's going to be able to get this ball up top a few times to JMO, which could be for a big touchdown. To your point, JMO having a big game, it may only come on 4 passes to JMO. So I'm right there with you. It's kind of unique that we both see the same thing here for once.
Yeah. So I did an imaginary bet just now on JMO to have 80 plus yards and a touchdown, anytime touchdown scorer. And my $50 will pay me $387. I may or may not have done an imaginary bet.
Well, there you go.
Keep everything PC.
What are we talking about here?
Oh, we only have 6 more likes to get to 100. That's where the confusion is in the chat there.
I don't know. I just saw what's, gotta love YouTube. I don't know what we were talking about though.
Yeah.
But Ed O'Neill has a good point. He says, we'll look at how the Bills have played at home versus on the road. It's like 2 different teams. The Baltimore Ravens embarrassed them. So the Bills only have 3 losses?
Yeah, they're 10-3.
Yeah. Let's take a quick look at their schedule here. We'll dig into it for just a moment. So, yeah, the Ravens smoked them 35-10. The Texans beat them 23-20. And those are both road games. Dolphins nearly beat them. That was a home game. And on the road to the Rams beat them. So they've lost all 3 road games. Or all 3 of their losses have been road games.
Yep.
This is also Ford Field. I'm sorry, but we have the most energetic stadium in all of the land.
Yeah. I saw an article yesterday. I can't remember who put it out. I think Jeremy Reisman, that said he didn't feel that Ford Field was as loud and electric as it was last year. And I'm like, I don't know what field you're going to, but the only game I felt like that this year was the Bucs game. All the rest of the games have had that playoff atmosphere. I mean, we had the wave going around. We broke the record for the wave going around 6 times. And during the Jags game, and it's been electric. Everybody stays around till the end of every game. There's nobody leaving early. It's been absolutely the hardest place for any road team to come to play all year long.
Well, I'm wondering if he's going based on the stats of the decibels hit, during the game. But honestly, I would kind of agree with him. I would say this. I think it was 2009, it was a Chicago Monday night game when we smashed the decibel record.
Mm-hmm.
There is something way different about that game than any game I've ever been to Ford Field. I don't think any game has ever come close to that game, even the playoff games.
Yeah.
The stadium was like humming. It was vibrating. It was so loud against the Bears and Jay Cutler. My feet were literally like moving, and I've never felt that again inside that stadium. It's never been the same since that night. It was so electric. That was the word that I kept using. Electric. It just felt like electricity was just pouring through that place. Now, I don't know if the Lions pumped in some music or some noise. I doubt that they would do that. But why haven't we been able to get back to that? It's never been the same.
I'll say this. On our first playoff game last year versus the Rams, I was there, and all the way to the stadium, 3 hours before the game, because they let us in 3 hours early, all the way to the stadium, negative 30 degrees outside. It was Jared Goff and Let's Go Lions chants all the way to the stadium, from Greektown all the way to the stadium. I got into the stadium, and the entire 3 hours before the game was Let's Go Lions and Jared Goff chants. The entire game was so loud, it blew my mind. And then after the game, all the way from Ford Field, all the way back to Greektown, it was Jared Goff chants. And when I went to get in my elevator, I had to stand and wait for one of the 6 elevators, right, with like 300 other people. The Jared Goff chants were so loud going into the elevator, in the elevator, and all the way up to my room on the 12th floor. I've never experienced anything like that. That crowd was so pumped and so hyped. And then to follow it up the next week with the Buccaneers at home, that I felt louder, because the first week I was up in 319, and the second week I was down in 140, and I was, right down by the field. So I think when you're down in the lower bowl, it's actually louder than when you're up on top. At least that's the way it felt for me.
So at that game, I would have been in 243. I would have been in those seats, 243, row 4.
Yeah.
For that game in 09. All right, so getting back to the game here, Rasul Douglas injury could be an issue for the Bills. He was injured last week, and Jamarcus Ingram finished the game for Douglas. Now, Ingram caught a pass interference that allowed the Rams to kind of keep pushing the ball downfield. And if Douglas is out, Ingram could be the target for Goff and Ben Johnson to really expose. I agree, with what did you say earlier? Who was the other guy that was the 2 guys that were out injury-wise?
Damar Hamlin and Rapp.
So this is just another big opportunity for the Lions to expose, right? If they're missing 3 major pieces of their defensive backfield, I mean, wouldn't that just be the Lions' luck that they would be able to receive a break like that before such a crazy big game? And I'm not saying that we want to go up against, an injured Bills team, but look, I'm not going to apologize if we have an upper hand. No. I would rather see that the Lions can get this game done and not have so much pressure, and that it's not a cardiac game. I would love for that to happen. I just don't think it's going to happen. Big shout out to Ed O'Neill. He says, if the Lions host the NFC title game, it'll break. It could. But, man, we've been in some big games. I'm not saying that the stadium hasn't been electric, hasn't been fun to be at, hasn't been, just different than all other games, because it has been. The chants, the wave, the energy, it's all good.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Thanksgiving was off the hook.
Yeah, I'm just saying that the actual decibel of the stadium just doesn't seem the same.
Yeah.
Like when I'm looking at it and it's saying like 115 and it's not getting really any higher, I'm like, how is it not getting? I mean, how on earth did we ever get up to like 134 or whatever it was?
Yeah.
Because it's not getting any louder. Unless that decibel meter that they're showing us is wrong, it just doesn't seem anywhere near the same. But anyway.
Well, if you notice every week when they show the decibel level up on the screen, that's not real. That's just a fake little video that they show every week, because it's exactly the same every week. It never goes any higher.
I'm hoping that's what it is. but
Yeah.
they should put up a real decibel meter.
Yeah, they should.
It's not that hard to do. It really isn't. All right, so next up, Deron Johnson is a solid slot corner versus Amon-Ra. So if you're doing if you're doing any prop bets this weekend, I don't know that Amon-Ra is a safe bet. I expect this to be a battle between Deron Johnson and Amon-Ra St. Brown. This is going to be a tough day for Amon-Ra, I think. This may be a sub-average day for Amon-Ra, but then again, he's going to be needed in that run support like he is every week with his blocking downfield against one of the better DBs in the game. I think that is a much bigger opportunity for Amon-Ra to do the things that he does well, right? And to support this team and his teammates in ways that maybe, are the only ways he's going to be able to contribute in this game. I'm not doubting Amon-Ra at all as a receiver, but I guess I would be lying if I said that Amon-Ra's ability on field this year has been different. He has not been the most dominant receiver on the field like he was last year. He's still having a great season. And I don't know if it's more of the scheme where Amon-Ra is being asked to do more without the ball in his hands, or if it's the matchups and what defenses are doing to try to slow Amon-Ra down. But this is a game where, again, if they've got 3 DBs out, then I'm expecting Deron Johnson's going to have this matchup. Even if they have 2 DBs out, I'm expecting Deron Johnson to have this matchup. And this is going to be a tough matchup. But in my opinion here, I'm going to roll with this again this week. So this is a slight call. It's not the final call. Laporta and Patrick are going to have some time to shine in this game. If Damar Hamlin and Rapp were supposed to be matched up with Laporta and Patrick more often, in the dime look, at least they would be. This is where if Damar Hamlin is out or he's struggling, or if Rasul Douglas is out or struggling, this is where I believe Laporta and Patrick are going to be able to find some holes in the defense. And Jared Goff's going to be able to get these guys involved. This is a winnable matchup for me, whoever Laporta and Patrick are going to be lined up against. So Laporta, Patrick, J-Mo, I'm looking for those 3 guys to have the bigger games in the receiving game. And I think that Jahmyr Gibbs is probably going to have the bigger game in the running game, but I'm not going to discount what Montgomery's going to do. I think that Ben Johnson's going to call a fairly even game for both of those guys, like he always does. It's like, Jahmyr's in for this series and David's in for that series. And, it flips back and forth. Rarely do we see both guys getting in the same series, but we have seen it at times. But that's my call for those guys. What else do you have for the finish off the rest of the day here?
All right. So I have a question for you, Will, and I want you to set an over under for me. What is the over under for the amount of pass interference penalties that will be called against the Lions in this game?
Oh, geez. Oh. Who's the refs?
I have no clue.
Hold on. Before I can answer that, I got to know who the refs are.
All right, look her up.
Because that's going to tell us something, right?
Yeah. Now, the Lions lead the league with 17. So if you spread that out over the season, that's about 2 per game. 1.5 per game. Do we go over or under our season average?
What's our season average?
Well, we have 17 of them so far, and it's been 13 games. So just over 1 a game. About 1.5. I'll call it 1.5 per game. So you think we're going to go over or under 1.5 pass interference penalties in this game on our defense?
I don't know yet. We'll come back to that. So if you got something else you want to roll with, let me look this up.
Well, seeing as Terrion's getting 1 just about every game, I'm going to say they're going to pick on him one more time. He's going to get 1. and someone else is going to get one as well. So I'm going to say that the Lions get 2 pass interference penalties in this game. One of them may be in the end zone or near the end zone, and it's going to put them at the 1 or within, somewhere down in the 10-yard line underneath there somewhere, and make it easier for them to score once, because Vegas wants the Bills to score some points as well.
Well, I will say this: we're in trouble. We have Adrian Hill's crew in this game.
That's not one I know.
He throws on average 17.4 flags a game.
Jesus Christ.
They are cited as having one of the most penalty-heavy crews in the league. They average over 17 penalties per game, and the high penalty count often translates to a large number of penalty yards conceded in games. Hill's crew has thrown the 3rd most flags in the league, 174 so far through 10 games, 1,150 penalty yards. Now, the only thing that I don't know, without doing a bunch more research, which I'm not going to do right now, is how many of those flags are PI or holding, etc. So with that, you said over under was what?
1.5.
Yep, I'm going with over.
Me as well.
I'm going with the over. I hope it's not 3, but I think that this is a game that maybe both teams get a couple of flags, especially if we see some, some young guys having to step up for the Bills and play in that defensive backfield. You know what's funny is the Lions have the most PIs against and the least PIs for.
Yes. And you want to know how many yards we got off that so far? 5. The Lions have gotten 5 yards off of pass interference this year.
So is it because, I guess I see this often. I don't see the Lions receivers fighting for it. I don't see them begging the refs to throw a flag. I don't see them flopping around. I don't see them really trying to create pass interference. When you have a guy like Terry and Arnold that's young, that's making mistakes, your receiver has been instructed to get in tight, flop around, get the flag. That's what they're instructed to do. Are our receivers not instructed to try to draw a pass interference when we need some yards? I don't know. But if you watch the games, it doesn't appear that we are. It doesn't appear that someone is trying to draw a penalty. I don't know. I think it's something that can be touched up. I think it's something that we could be doing better at. It's part of the game. Force those guys into making a penalty.
Would you like to see the NFL do something like college where it's only a 15-yard penalty no matter what?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, spot fouls are terrible.
Yeah.
I understand it. They're thinking that it could have been completed, but I think that there needs to be a little bit more scrutiny on those plays. Like, for instance, if the ball is not even catchable, it's not even close, well, that wouldn't have been a spot foul. Can't be, because the ball wouldn't have been caught anyway. Now, if the ball is close and it hits off your hands, or, it's within arm's distance, either way around your body, yeah, spot foul. But if it's not even close, it's not a spot foul. But then again, that leaves, interpretation up to the refs, which isn't always the best case scenario for any team. So anyway, hey, it's been another fun week of the Rise and Grind Morning Show. And we've gotten through a lot of content this week. We have successfully broken down your Bills and Lions game. So, Eric, I'm going to ask you, what do you feel for like a score in this game?
Okay. All right. I'm going to go with my preseason score. In the preseason, this was Lions favored by 2. They're favored by 2.5 right now. In the preseason, the over-under was 50.5. It's now 54.5, the highest of the entire weekend. And I think we're going to go over the over. I think it is going to be 31 Detroit Lions and 27 for the Buffalo Bills. So 31-27, the Lions win.
You know what's funny?
What?
My preseason call was 21-17, 10 points different on both ends of your score.
Yep.
And the over-under was what?
Before it was 50.5. Now it's 54.5.
Well, I guess I'm going to go with this. I see the Lions having a better defensive opportunity against the Bills than what the Rams displayed. I think we have better DBs. We definitely have the better safety group. As long as Kirby can get his head out of his butt on some of these plays, for whatever reason, letting up big downfield passes and not being over there to cover. That's the one thing that I hate about single high safety, is that he's got to pick one side of the field or the other. And it seems like he's always late to the party, or he's trying to get an interception and misses or something. But I would hope that we have more of a two high safety, unless we're bringing Branch down into the box. But I think I'm going to have to go with Lions 34, Bills 27. Nope, Lions 34, Bills 25. That's it. Lions 34, Bills 25.
I can handle that.
That's my call for the game. And it might be way closer than that. Honestly, this could be a shootout that just goes into the 40s.
Yeah.
It could be the Lions totally dominate and they put up a 50 burger on the Bills and the Bills only score 14 points.
And it could end up being like last week, where Jake Bates has to come on the field with no time left on the clock and kick that game-winning field goal again.
I'm going to update this tomorrow because I don't like not having the injury report for this game.
Oh, one thing I saw in the Boxer chat, Tracy put up that DJ Reader said he's playing and he's going to be a thug this weekend.
There he goes, man. Be a thug then, DJ. Thuggish, ruggish bone. Eric asked for some emails. I don't know if you got them. I don't know if you gave him your email address. I only got one, so.
Yeah. I think I got everybody.
You got everybody?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I do. And if I don't, I'll reach out and get the individuals.
All right. Well, I'm going to update this tomorrow. So that's right. Tomorrow I'll be doing something. You guys in the comments, please let us know. How do you feel this game is going to go? Put your score predictions down there. We'll carry on the conversation in the comments. And I appreciate you guys joining us all week. Eric has got the Lions winning 31-27, and temporarily I have the Lions winning 35-20 or 34-25. It's going to be a showdown in Motown. I think it's going to be a great weekend. It's going to be a great game. You guys got to show up and be ready to cheer your hearts out. And pay attention this time to when the Lions are on offense and defense, because every week we have fans that do it backwards. I don't know why. But hopefully we'll get it right at one of these games. So you guys have a great week, great weekend. We'll look forward to you next week, Monday, talking about what happened in this game. But that might be Tuesday, because on Monday I'm supposed to go to Cleveland. If that's still going to happen or not, I'll find out today.
I can't be here on Monday.
So
Monday, I'll be traveling back.
Yeah, if I can get Riley up and going, then maybe he'll be able to do something on Monday. But we'll see. We don't know. We'll see. All right, we'll talk to you guys later. Have a great weekend. Go Lions, go on Pride. Take care. Bye-bye. The season is here, and you want the latest news and rumors on your Detroit Lions. Head to sportspider.com. That's sports, SPYDER.com, where you can get your Lions news and all your sports in one place. Man, this site is packed with your favorite podcasts, live news, articles from local writers, and insiders, all updating in real time. Not just the Lions, every major sports team, including MMA, UFC, and so much more. Don't want to waste time searching? Sign up for free. Create your ultimate sports news hub. You control what hits your feed at SportsSpider, your number one source for all your sports. Visit sportspider.com today, right after the show.
Every day, thousands of people are discovering Uper Lights, Michigan's newest, funnest rock to go find on the shores of the Great Lakes. Don't go out with just any light. Try the Convoy C8 from uperlights.com. It's guaranteed for life, and you'll find all the ones everyone else misses. Quality UV lights that are perfect for Uper Lights with prices starting as low as $20. Please make sure to visit uperlights.com for all your UV flashlight needs with the best guarantees on the market. Just what you wanted and not what you didn't. The best quality, the best guarantees, and the best UV flashlights from uperlights.com.